Hello and welcome to This Naked Chat, a podcast where six friends from different walks of life come together for honest, unscripted conversations about living alcohol-free and everything that comes with it. We all met at a live event hosted by Annie Grace of This Naked Mind in March of 2024. What started as a mastermind group with the six of us and Annie turned into some really deep friendships, filled with connection, tough conversations, and a lot of laughter. And after a year of growing and learning together, we realized that these conversations might help more than just us. So here we are, no scripts, just real talk. We are incredibly grateful to Annie and This Naked Mind for helping us get this off the ground and for the impact that her work has had on each of our lives. I am Brian, and I am joined by Kori, Agnes, Judi, Jenie, and Sammie. Let's dive in.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Brian.
Oh, okay. How's everyone doing? What is it? What is this? What number is this? 19. Holy mackerel.
Wow.
That's like months of this.
Months.
I know.
You could make it sound like it's been fun for you, Brian.
Something like that.
It's pity party day. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, I know.
Oh my
We're
God.
We're all there's
What have
there's
I
some
walked
pity party
into?
mode going around. We'll try to. Hopefully,
Enough
this
of
what I
that.
pick out of the hat doesn't say have a pity party. All right, here we go. I'm gonna just read it. Ready?
Go.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Go.
Sitting with boredom and overwhelm without alcohol.
Oh
God, what a wonderful topic. We don't even have to say without alcohol. I think for what we were just talking about before we started recording, sitting with boredom and overwhelm recently has been a topic for me.
But without alcohol. Is that the rest of it?
Yeah, it is, specifically.
All right, Brian, you should start.
Well, I mean, this is what, and nobody knows what we were talking about before we started recording, but like this has been kind of a thing for me recently is I am currently not working, and that is creating intense boredom, and then I want to just keep myself busy, and then I get overwhelmed with not working and trying to find like this is just this spiral. And, you know, I do understand, like, in the past, what I probably would be doing is being like, oh, these are feelings, so just drink and make them go away. And instead, right now, I'm sitting with them. and man, sometimes they suck. I don't know what the boredom one's interesting because that's been something that I've said my whole life. Like, I'm bored. This is a very common theme throughout my life and what I use with my therapist a lot. And where that comes from is interesting. I don't know what it means. Like, does it mean alone or not distracted? You know, like boredom is an interesting topic or term for me that I think I've used to mean everything. All emotions to me that are uncomfortable means boredom.
Huh. That is interesting.
Why do you say that? I will say this too. I normally have a therapy appointment before this, and today was canceled. So this is now.
The Brian
thank
hour.
you guys.
It's now the Brian hour.
What does boredom mean? I think boredom means lack of passion in whatever's in front of you.
I like that.
That's an interesting definition.
I think it's around sort of being dissatisfied, isn't it? Not appreciating and having the gratitude for actually, you know, being here and having a life and yeah, we kind of think we need all the big things to be all right and feel good all the time, and it's not the case. It's not how it goes.
I think I have always equated it, and now with what you two just said and with what Brian said, I'm questioning if this is true. But anyway, whatever, go with this. I've always equated it with being idle, which to me is distinct from being quiet. Idle is uncomfortable, but I can be quiet and not necessarily doing anything. And that can be uncomfortable, but it's not, I don't know. Now I'm reframing this whole thing because of what y'all just said. But idleness for me is not comfortable.
The Merriam-Webster definition is the state of being weary and restless through lack of interest.
Oh, restless is good.
So that's interesting of kind of what Judi said.
Well, that
And-
also equates with idle, right? Restlessness.
Restless. Yep.
Yeah.
I like that word.
For me, acceptance comes up. It's like not accepting it as it is right now, and then you're bored. Like if I think about children, when they get bored, what do they tend to do? They start to, well, I'll speak for my own. They will start picking on each other.
Hmm.
So like looking for something else. Or when I would be bored sitting at home, then I would be thinking about things, all the things I don't have or are going wrong, and then want to change it around, which would be through eating, alcohol, usually those types of numbing agents.
I think there's a little bit about expectation for me as well, because if you're saying I'm bored, you're expecting to be almost sort of entertained, whereas, it's about looking inwards, isn't it? Because some of the greatest inventions, come from when people are bored. That's when you have the quiet time to really, look at what's going on and just to kind of delve into that much deeper. I mean, we weren't allowed. If I said I was bored when I was a child, my mum would hit the roof.
Yep.
How can you can't be bored? There's so many things that you can do, which is true.
Well, that might go back to what you said earlier, Sammie. I think it was like, if you're feeling this, and this is where I trace it back even when I was younger, my boredom was like that I didn't necessarily have anything I was really particularly overly interested in going and doing, maybe. And maybe that's kind of the case now. Is that what you said the word passion, I think, earlier, which is like, is boredom kind of a stage of like, there's something right now that I'm not so passionate about that it's going to go fill my time, right?
Yeah,
it's something that I'm kind of more lackadaisical about. I'll go for a walk with my dog to fix my boredom. Well, I'm not passionate about walking my dog, right? Like I don't, and it ties back to kind of this work maybe, or this deeper sort of purpose.
But it's also just in saying that, I don't know. I am now sitting here pondering as to whether boredom and overwhelm are two sides of the same coin, because I can be simultaneously passionate about what I'd like to be doing and completely stymied by overwhelm or bored, even though I have something I'm looking toward. I don't know. That's just a thought.
I think it's interesting when we look at the alcohol piece, though, because certainly for me, I had a fear of, oh gosh, I'm going to be really boring if I stop drinking, and other people are going to think I'm boring now that I don't drink. And it's interesting how actually it's the opposite is true, because you're fully present and you got more interesting things to say and you can remember the conversation and it's just a belief that was false, that wasn't actually true at all, that I held.
I was thinking too on that same thing, Sammie, is like when I used to feel bored, I would go to a bar to be around people to make me less bored, which didn't help either, to your point. Like what we think cures it doesn't.
It just numbs it, doesn't it? It just passes
Right.
the time. It means the time just goes. And
So it means we don't play well by ourselves. We need stimulation. And so alcohol can give you that stimulation if you're using it to overcome boredom.
Mm-hmm. And same with overwhelm, right? We did it too. It was like, to me, that felt like, oh, I'm stressed out. I'm going to go shut my brain off for a little bit and have some fun with my friends. But then, as we learned, I think it just came back stronger the next day.
The interesting trajectory for me, because both boredom and overwhelm were huge huge triggers for me, possibly even the biggest triggers. And if I got that euphoria from that first glass, I could, for 20 minutes, focus on a task, want to do a task, even if it was as mundane as vacuuming the stairs. If I drank wine, I would be motivated to vacuum those stairs, and I would do it until the euphoria wore off, and then I'm back at the boredom and the overwhelm again.
So now that we don't drink, do you have any sitting with boredom and overwhelm without alcohol? How's that working for you guys?
I don't ever, now that I don't drink, I never get bored.
Interesting.
I don't have boredom either.
Ever. I have never been bored since I stopped drinking.
What's that look like for you? Yeah.
Overwhelm, yeah, but not bored, because my brain's like, oh, think about this, think about this, think about this, rather than just shut it off. I might think about, I'm not bored today. I might even ponder that.
And Sammie, you're the same way?
Yeah, well, I don't ever seem to have a minute in the day, so I sometimes go, gosh, I wonder what it's like to feel bored. That would be, but I just, it's just something I don't experience. The overwhelm definitely can still crop up for me. But there's always something to do. I mean, I have a new passion for learning since I stopped drinking, because I can actually retain information and process it and apply it. And so it holds a lot more, I want to kind of embrace all that and you just don't, I feel like, you go on a personal growth journey, don't you, when you stop the alcohol piece, and you actually, find out a little bit more who you are, and life just becomes more interesting. I just, things I'm interested in now that I wouldn't have dreamt of doing when I was drinking, because everything just focused around the drinking. That was the bit that was important. Mm-hmm. So my life got much smaller. I did a lot less when I was drinking.
I'm just curious. Sorry, I was just I'm just curious then, Sammie, do you avoid boredomness? Right? Because everyone could be busy. So you have to really slow down and do absolutely nothing to get bored. Or can you get bored doing things?
It's interesting, actually, because when I went on holiday earlier in the year, there was a day when my daughter got really sunburnt, so we just literally stayed by the accommodation for the day, and it was the only day actually out the whole 3 weeks that we sort of didn't have something planned, or we didn't go and do something. And I did think, what am I going to do for the day then if I'm not going anywhere? And I read a book, just a non-fiction, a fiction book, sorry, and it was really wonderful. To just actually, initially I was like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? But actually once I started reading the book and getting into it, I went, oh my gosh, I used to love reading. As a child, I loved reading, so I think I probably am somebody that's never allowed myself to get bored. I will keep busy. So it was an interesting thing to learn about myself, that I do like to have a certain level of busyness. But I think that's, because my brain's just used to being on the go all the time. So initially it was kind of a bit of what do I do? But actually once I sat with it, I realized just how fabulous it was to actually have a day off and just, I think it's giving yourself permission as well. I always felt like I'm lazy. If I'm not doing anything, then I'm lazy.
And I think to that point too, Agnes, is I was beating myself up for a while of thinking everything I was doing, including what Sammie's saying, reading a book or learning, more, was a distraction from doing something. I was not wanting to sit, so I was filling my time with things that weren't maybe in a traditional sense what I should be, what I've been told I should be doing all the time, right? Like work, or something like that. And I still beat myself. I bring this up all the time. I'm like, it feels like I should be able to just sit on a cushion cross-legged in my, place all day long. And I'm like, I don't think that's right though. I think there's a certain level that you do need to go out and
well, but that's
do
not your
things.
passion, though, right?
Right,
I mean,
right,
it goes
right.
back to the. I mean, like we were talking before we even jumped on this call that, well, we should get a job. Well,
Yeah.
if we just went out and got a job just to fill up time, or because maybe we need some money, if we hate it, if we're not passionate about it, I'm going to quickly get bored and be fired right
Yeah.
away because I start causing trouble. I get itchy and it's like, nope, done, out. So I think it's important to understand this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And I think we get bored with things we don't like.
Yeah. And what
But
I don't
sometimes-
like is sitting
Well, you can also get
at
bored
home in
with
the
things.
middle.
You can also get bored with things you do like. One, especially, I mean, that's what happens to me because once I am presented with, I don't know, a task or a challenge and I do it and I do it over and over again and over and over and over and over again, then I'm kind of bored and I want, let's bring on the next challenge.
Yeah, but do
It's-
you still like that challenge? I mean, do you still like the task after you've done it 400
No.
times?
No, not once because I'm
Right, so
bored. But I liked it while I was doing it for the most part until, I mean, there's a transition point in there, I guess, is maybe my distinction. It's also, it's interesting to hear what I am hearing some of you say is that for you, boredom is kind of an empty-ish state of mind. And for me, it's exactly the most frustrating opposite, where I have just fragments of thoughts and I feel incapable or almost paralyzed with being able to pick one and put it down in front of me and say, okay, this one for right now. So, and maybe that's part of the reason I'm saying overwhelm and boredom for me are kind of on the same coin. I don't know if that makes sense or resonates with any of you.
I think that speaks to sort of, that the phrase of sort of getting out of your own way. I think sometimes, and actually what's wrong with boredom? It's kind of like we've made, for me, it's like I've made it wrong if I feel bored. I mean, I was, as I say, growing up, we weren't allowed to feel bored, but we do. I have had this negative association with the word boredom, whereas in actual fact, boredom is a time where you can slow down, and it's just your brain sending you a signal that you've got an opportunity to do something, to learn something new, to go and do something different. Because we like, our minds like to be sort of occupied, and so it just gives you an opportunity to notice that.
This episode is sponsored by This Naked Mind, a revolutionary approach to changing your relationship with alcohol. When it comes to your drinking, you don't have to hit rock bottom to want something different, and you don't have to do it alone. This Naked Mind blends neuroscience, psychology, and self-compassion to help you stop relying on willpower and start creating real, lasting change. No shame, no labels, and no rules. Whether you want to take a break, drink less, or stop drinking for good, This Naked Mind has a program that meets you where you are, with world-class coaching and a compassionate, judgment-free community to support you every step of the way. Learn more about This Naked Mind at thisnakedmind.com.
What about overwhelm for y'all? Did you drink to make the overwhelm go away like I did?
Yeah, the overwhelm was all stress, right? So that's really not being able to manage it and be able to put things into perspective, basically. It's all a repeat going on in the brain. And miscellaneous small little tasks, it doesn't matter. It's just, again, this big, long to-do list. That's how I experienced it.
But interesting, when we're drinking, we can't, if we're feeling overwhelmed, it actually prevents us from taking a small action, which would help us to get out of that overwhelm. Well, certainly for me, by drinking, I'm not dealing with the overwhelm. I'm just increasing it, really.
Yeah, that's it like snowballs, right? Like whatever, that's where I thought like the for me, the overwhelm part was worse. The drinking to kind of make the overwhelm go away, because like to your point, it wouldn't move anything, right? It would just delay it. So I'd come back the next day and be overwhelmed again, and nothing would have changed. And I just continued in that cycle to where then it was really overwhelming, right? The boredom is I mean, nothing's necessarily going to happen there maybe, but the overwhelm is where I tend to see, I got myself more in trouble when I see my friends kind of get in that too, of like, I'm anxious, so I'm going to drink to calm down. And then you kind of now know where that's almost going to lead is some breaking point for them or for me, right? To where it's like, all right, I can no longer sustain this. Something happens to, for me, maybe health wise, there was some repercussions, right? Of not being able to, not learning how to actually manage the stress or manage the overwhelm. So it bit me in the ass.
And that's burnout, isn't it? That kind of can lead to burnout.
Yeah, because burnout, I think, happens because because I've gone through times where I've not identified that I'm overwhelmed, and I'm just like, and all of a sudden I'm feeling awful. I'm not sleeping, but and I call it stress. And then when I talk to somebody about it, and I try to, it's like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. This happened to me like just a few months ago, and I'm just going on and on about it. And she looks at me, she goes, well, what I hear is overwhelm. And I went, it hit me like, oh, is that what this is? But then I had to really think about that, because I never really have identified that as a thing. I just see it as, oh, stress. No, you should handle all these things, right? Because then we put ourselves in that bucket. I can do this. I can do that. I'm a big girl. I should be able to handle all this. And then boom, overwhelm. And I just was unable to identify it.
Yeah.
For me, overwhelm, I guess, isn't having too much to do or feeling spread too thin. That's different. That's having too much to do and being spread too thin. And that is what is stress for me. For me, overwhelm is this crushing sense of responsibility. That's what it is. That's how that word lands for me, which is a different pot on the stove from stress, at least in my head. So it's interesting to hear how we all identify differently with that word.
I'm wondering, someone brought up, and here as we kind of wrap this up a little bit, the antidote to this, we know was kind of sitting and understanding it, right? Someone earlier said like acceptance, and maybe even sort of self-love of like, is there something that from a boredom standpoint is I'm okay just sitting with myself without these stories saying that I need to be doing something and I'm not. And the overwhelm is the other way of being like, I don't know how to say that. Like just accepting that you don't have to always be pushing. Like it's okay to take a step back and relax and just be. Does any of that make sense? Like I'm wondering, I think that's right. Whoever said that, for
Sammie
me at
did.
least.
I think Sammie said
it was
that.
Sammie.
Yeah.
Like that's where it seems to lie. Maybe is like accepting of probably yourself, right?
And I think there's part of that as well. Talking of the responsibility piece, it's that sort of circle of control, isn't it? When we're trying to fix all the things for all the people all the time, and we get lost in all of that peripheral stuff, which we can't actually do anything about. So it's trying to, for me, bring it back to, okay, what's within my circle of control? What can I do? Because if you try and do everything, it is overwhelming. It's too big. It's much too big. But when you're drinking, it was really hard for me to sort of comprehend that and to, intellectually recognize that all of that stuff is out there and it's not helping. I can only focus on the stuff that I've got control over. And that helps to reduce the overwhelm.
Yeah, and it's knowing that every single experience is manageable. We'll get through it because that's what we've always gone through, and just reminding ourselves, however we feel, that we'll be able to navigate it.
Yeah, I mean, I've burnt out, I think, 3 times in my nursing career. And like Judi said, I didn't recognize it at all the first time until somebody else pointed it out. And probably the second time, on the third occasion, I did realize I know where this is heading and I need to do something before I get to that point.
It's a really good point of like having to experience it and then knowing that you're going to be able to bounce out of it. Like this isn't going to be the death of you, which sometimes it feels like when you feel these deep, strong emotions, right?
So true.
Is like, wow, am I going to die? This is so strong. And to get proven time and time again that you won't, and that it's okay to feel that.
Yeah, because you actually, it's a bit like the analogy of, first of all, you kind of get a whisper in your ear that you don't hear, you don't listen to, and then the voice gets a little bit louder and you don't listen to. And in the end, it's your brain's almost like banging on the door, by which point, if you're still trying to carry on as normal and not accept that that's what's going on for you, your body will force you to stop. And hence why I'd had the burnout.
Yeah.
Are you ready to wrap up your therapy session, Brian?
No, I mean, this is just, this one is fascinating for me because I think, as we came into this, what we were actually talking about, these two, both of them, I think are the kind of, are these emotions? I don't know how you describe these two.
Yeah, they're emotions.
But they're kind of exactly what I've been sitting with. And the boredom especially is my whole life so this is a topic that I've been very interested in. Like almost, it feels like I've been trying to solve it, and I do think Sammie hit on it. I still don't know how, I guess, and that's the most frustrating part. Is like that. Do you try to stop feeling boredom or recognize boredom, or where's the self-acceptance or the self-love kind of come in?
It's kind of like any emotion, right? You just jump into it. Hang on, like Agnes is saying, we know we're going to get through it. But tell yourself I'm going to get through this and jump in and explore it. It's kind of like, it's kind of like deep sea diving or coral reef diving or something. You're going to find some nugget below the surface. But if you keep running, like you just said, I've been exploring. Well, have you really? Or, I'm sorry, but I have to challenge you with that. Have you really? Or have you been like skirting around it and say, well, no, that isn't it. No. Rather than sit with it and say, all right, I'm bored. What does this mean to me? Without judging it.
If Coach Onawa from This Naked Mind's Path were here, she would say, well, I see you, boredom. What do you need from me right now? That's what she would say. And that sounds kind of woo-woo, but that perspective has helped me with a lot of uncomfortable emotions. It took me a while to actually, turn off my intellectual brain and just be open to what does it need and what am I going to hear? But that shift is, she brought me that language. And so for any unpleasant emotion.
I think it's also, though, when we have any uncomfortable emotion, we want to change it instantly rather than just allowing it to be. Because sometimes you don't need to do anything. Sometimes it's just about watching it, isn't it? And going, okay, this is what's going on. Because everything changes, nothing stays the same. So but we're all, in a hurry to change those emotions that we feel uncomfortable with. And they're there for a reason. So
that's probably where like this started, with sitting with boredom and overwhelm without alcohol. We used alcohol for so long and didn't listen to it. And probably then after I replaced alcohol with anything else that was a distraction, exercise, reading, something like that, instead of, to all of your points, sitting and being like, what is this actually? Which sounds like what you're saying, huh?
Yes. For me, you know what? It would be like, I guess my takeaway with this is, if I really sit about those boredom and overwhelm, what I tell myself is I should be doing this, or I should be doing that. So if I'm bored, I should be doing something. And if I'm overwhelmed, well, I should be doing something. to check off my to-do list. So either way, these stories jump in, which obviously come from our subconscious mind, don't even know where the stories come from. And it's these expectations that I would be putting on myself. And they could be, invisible expectations, which is a huge thing that we're not even aware of. So that's where that whole acceptance comes into play, where it's like, okay, you know what? No, I don't need to be doing anything. I'm just going to be here for now.
And the awareness piece is massive, isn't it? Because certainly when I was drinking, that's it. I wasn't aware that I was heading towards burnout. But the last time I wasn't drinking. So that was the time I managed to go, okay, I've had this before. I know these feelings. And if I ever feel bored, I'm obviously going to come up with an amazing invention. So there you go. I think it'd be exciting. Boredom will become excitement.
Well, I love it. Anyone else before we wrap up? All right. You're the best.
Have a nice week.
See you later.
All. You too, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If something we said resonated, made you laugh, or made you think, we'd love it if you share it with someone who might need it too. And if you're curious about going alcohol-free or just ready to feel more connected to yourself, check out This Naked Mind. Annie's work brought us all together, and we're so grateful for the impact it's had. On that note, a big thank you to Annie Grace and This Naked Mind for making this podcast possible. We'll see you next time on This Naked Chat.